These guys from a podcast called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty" want to talk to you, and I think and I said, you don't have to tell me what it's about. I said, if it's called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty," you definitely don't need to tell me what it's about, and I'm going on. This is what I want to do.
It's a Seinfeld podcast. It's called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty." But I thought, this is what a podcast should be.
I just did the Seinfeld guys pod the other day. It came up.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh,
that one. Shout out. We've done it. I've done it. Have you did it?
I've not gotten a chance to do it yet. I'm looking forward to it. It's so fun. They're so fun.
When I don't know, it must have shown up in my feed, but I see these guys tweeting about Seinfeld. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I find it's a podcast called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty."
One of the most popular Seinfeld podcasts is "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty," co-hosted by Chris O'Hara and Tony Chula.
Welcome to "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty," the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is 2 Up and 2 Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
Okay, folks, so welcome back to another episode of 2 Up and 2 Down. And today we are discussing the nap, which is from season 8. So, Chris, why don't you start us off with your first up?
Yeah, the nap, April of 1997. Kevin and Robin, of course, friends of the show. Over 32 million people watched this show. A couple of fun facts of what was on that night. I don't remember any of these shows. Tell me if you guys remember these. On ABC, Vital Signs, CBS, Maloney, and on Fox, New York Undercover. I mean, you wonder why Seinfeld was kicking ass in the ratings? I mean, they were throwing nothing up against it. But be that as it may, it was a well-oiled machine at this point. Season 8. So here we go. 2 positives, 2 negatives. For me, the biggest up here, this is a big Stein. I mean, what an episode. Absolutely, in my mind, stole the show. She's a heartbreaker. Him singing that. The grandchildren, oh, Stein, get on the Pony Express. And February or February. The whole thing, Steinbrenner was unbelievable. As good as it got. Thank God Larry David came back for this. The whole bomb squad, empty calories, empty calories and male curiosity, huh, Georgie? Just on point. It might have been a little too much of them, but I think this episode needed it. So, listen, as a Yankee fan back then, you loved a little Stein. Great stuff. So for me, I'm going to go Big Stein as my first thumbs up.
All right, there you have it, folks. Big Stein getting a nod. All right, Tony, over to you. What's your first up?
Listen, folks, we'll probably end up in the same place, but a little Stein, I agree with O'Hara on that, but I will get there. I don't know. I think this is a hard episode to find up, so I see where he's going with that. And he's probably not going to agree with my first up, so we're going to end up in the same place, I'm sure. But my first up, and I'm going to be very clear about this. I liked Conrad, the contractor guy, as a character. I thought he played the role really well. I think that actor, Aaron does agree. I think that actor nailed the part. Hats off to Hirschfeld, another fucking, picked a fucking gold mine with this guy. I could do this one, like this big. I mean, if you've met those guys, this is what they do. They're always got a different way to do things. How do you want me to do it? I can cut it this way, that way. How big do you want it? The whole thing. He played that part so well. I thought he did a great job, very understated, but knew that role inside and out, and I think he delivered. We needed him. I mentioned you needed Steinbrenner, you needed this guy too. Without this guy, forget about it. So I just love how he, and George at the beginning, George is with him. Oh yeah, about this big, George is all, and then finally George gets pissed too. Whatever, we'll get there. But I thought the actor himself, and I thought the role solidly played. Good. It's a good premise. And I thought he did a great job with it. So that's my first up is Conrad, the contractor.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Yeah. Shout out to the actor Stephen Lee, who played Conrad. All right, Chris. So back to you. What's your second up?
Jeez. All right. Second up. And I had Conrad too. I wrote Conrad was okay as an up. I liked his detailed questions. And then the Big Stein, and pretty much I'm struggling to find anything else. There's a couple little things here, and Tony mentioned a premise. I think I like the premise of the nap. Things that went into it might have gone a little too much, but the actual premise of George needing a nap. I mean, I think Tony probably loves this. He loves taking naps. This guy. Sometimes he misses podcasts because he's napping. So from that perspective, it's relatable. You know what I mean? So I like the premise of the nap. Do they need to name the show The Nap to have the whole thing about it? We'll get there. But the actual premise, George kind of introducing it, I got a kick out of it. Relatable, knowing people that nap, the whole thing. I'll give that as my second up.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. So going over to you, Tony, what's your second up?
Yeah, I never missed a podcast, but I do love a good nap. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing really here, fellas. And this is what we do. Some of these later episodes we don't love is lines. O'Hara took one of my lines. I was going to use them both as my upsort of because I love lines when they're good. The empty calories, male curiosity, great line with the Al McPherson Playboy. But I use this line often, very often. It's funny how you can just slip this line in conversations and you'd be surprised, but I love it. Jerry, you're similar to the most heavily populated, polluted waterway in the eastern seaboard. And Kramer just right back at him. Technically, Norfolk has more gross tonnage. Love that Kramer line. You know that Kramer knows that stat. He's reading books about Tales of the Sea. It's probably somewhere in his Time Life books. But I just love him. He doesn't go in any other Jerry stuff. He just catches them on that. Technically, Norfolk has more gross tonnage. We might have even used that line in our line bracket. It probably was a 16 seat or something because I love it so much. I probably slipped it in there. I got to double check, but love the line. And that's what I'm going to give as my second up is just the K-Man always knows, what he's doing, why he's doing it. He wouldn't swim it if it was in Norfolk. I'll go in the East River. It's fine. Because technically Norfolk has more gross tonnage. So that's my second up.
Yeah, I love that line too. So thanks for mentioning that as an up. Like you said, these are kind of weak ups. So what are the downs here? What is that going to look like, Chris? What's your first?
Yeah, ups and downs, name of the game here, right, folks? So pretty easy one. There's a couple softballs here, but, I'm going to go with Elaine and the boyfriend, Hal Kitzmiller. Just, I don't know, what is this storyline? He's got a bad back, like these later season, and I don't know, it's just, Elaine with these boyfriends, and they're always like walking in the park or walking on the street. Like, I mean, I'd almost rather her break up and get back with Putty again for crying out loud than throwing these guys in here all the time. So the Elaine storyline just, there's probably a lot here. I don't know if I could tie into it. I'll hold off, but her and Hal Kitzmiller didn't like it. And him getting her the mattress, and then I don't know. It's just a lot's off there. And bottom line, it's just not funny. Like, forget about the storyline. Like, if you're gonna have a bad storyline, at least make me laugh with a good joke. There was no joke in there. It was like, oh, this guy's presumptive. Like, he thinks he's gonna get in bed with me. Like, I don't know. Is that funny? I don't know. So for me, I'm gonna go the Lane the boyfriend storyline as my first down.
Yeah. I see your point there. Tony, over to you. What's your first down?
Yeah, I wrote that down. Hal, you kind of touched on it, but Hal reminds me of Todd Gack and also the guy you hate, the hairy guy at the gym. I don't know. I tie them all together somehow. And
they're all the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't stand Hal Kitzbar. I couldn't stand the storyline. When the mattress falls on Elaine, I'm done. I mean, that is, to me, one of the worst you're going to see in Seinfeld history. What are we doing?
We won't even take them. I'll leave that one out there.
Right.
I want it, but how is there a phone right next to her for her to call Jerry too? But all right,
it's so terrible. My second down, I mean my first down actually, is and O'Hara probably has this written down as well. This is right up his alley. When they're all in the kitchen and they're all confused. I mean, this is the janitor closet that we love. O'Hara, this is right up his alley. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, redoing the kitchen. I mean, This is Seinfeld. This isn't fucking Home Improvement or some fucking. This was Seinfeld. What are we doing? This is the most sitcom baloney worst. I mentioned, the contractor. I gave him an up, but I mean, what are we doing with the kitchen stuff? And then they all come in. I mean, Kramer gives a line. I'm in the wrong apartment again. That's going to give you the laugh when they all come in and Jerry's freaking out and they don't know where to stand and they're all jammed in there. Just terrible. And to Harris' point, not funny, just not funny at all. Sad, really is sad, to be honest with you. And this is Kevin and Robin, and I hate doing it because friends of the show and gave us some of the best, but this was not one of them. I'm sorry. That's my down. The kitchen stuff all kind of jammed in there, but really the scene when they're all clumped in together and squished and everything else.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too, Tony. So, Chris, back to you. What do you got for your second down?
Yeah, I actually had some of those separated, but whatever. Have at. I mean, the kitchen story. Well, there's just no storyline. Like, just to have that guy there, to have Conrad, and I guess the only decent part of that scene, I guess, was them talking about fitted hat day. You know, I always wanted a fitted hat too. I kind of played along with that. And that was like a big deal, right? I think like in high school, we were seniors, we finally got fitted hats. We thought it was so cool versus all the years of putting the flap over. But anyway, be that as it may. Okay. You know what? I don't even remember this, by the way. But I'm just going to go with the ending. Okay? Jerry opening the cabinet and George is sleeping in the cabinet? I swear I don't remember that. What? I mean, that's as like sitcom-y and I mean, I don't know what that is. Like, I know Larry David was on set. I'm shocked he let that even happen. I don't know. Just logistically, he's got a couch, he's got a bed. If he's tired, he's got chairs. Like, he's fitting himself into the cabinet. And then, like, Jerry doesn't even notice. I mean, that was like, icing on the cake for the episode was that scene. So yeah, George sleeping in the cabinet. One of the worst downs I've ever seen, quite frankly, right up there. So, and there was no like talking. That's what made it even worse.
Yeah, I was gonna even mention that when Tony was rambling about the kitchen scenes, I'm glad you brought it up because that was like one of the worst endings to any Seinfeld probably. And Jerry goes, "I can't believe I got the low fat," when he pulls out his whatever box of cookies or whatever he had there. All right, so Tony, over to you. What do you got for your second down?
Yeah, exactly. The low fat line ties it all together perfectly as a shit job. And to me, and this is what these later episodes, it almost was like an inside. It was almost like they were just doing it for them. They were just thought it was like they were so on top of the world that they could do no wrong. There was no one telling them this sucks. It was all yes men. It was all inside jokes. It was like, it'll be funny if George is in the thing because he was sleeping under the desk and Jerry will do his little, non-fat joke or whatever. Like there was no one, the LD was not overseeing things to say, like O'Hara mentioned, like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, what the hell are we doing? Because you were getting 30 million people watching and everything else. And they're like, let's just keep doing this shit. People, we could do no wrong. But you turned off the early adopters when you did that. Anyway, my second down, and I hate to do this because this is what happens in these later seasons. Ups become downs. O'Hara likes to say. I thought the Steinbrenner stuff. I mean, yeah, to O'Hara's point, he carried the episode. I mean, the robot comes in, the Heartbreakers. I thought it was just way too much Steinbrenner. You have Steinbrenner. To O'Hara's point, carry the whole episode. To me, you can't have Steinbrenner carry an episode. It becomes a down at some point. It's overkill by far. Empty calories, curiosity was pretty good. O'Hara makes a great point. We dated ourselves with a fitted hats. Always wanted a fitted hat. We finally got them. I mean, 18 years old, we finally get fitted hats. That's what little leaguers probably have fitted hats now. Anyway, be that as it may, I thought the Steinbrenner stuff just got way overdone with the kids and everything else. And I could see why Howard gave it an up, but I got to be fair. And also, I'm going to give it a down. I thought it was just way too much for Big Stein to kind of take over this episode and try and carry it. He couldn't even carry it, in my opinion. So that's my second down.
Well, yeah, thanks, Tony. Those are, again, all valid points for this being a down. So, Chris, over to you. Your final thoughts, your grade to wrap it up. What do you got?
Yeah, the nap. Like I said, the premise, solid on the nap, the whole episode. I mean, they could have called this the kitchen. Or, I don't know. I don't know what I remember about this episode. But, yeah, Stein stole the show. Other downs Tony could have used. Elaine swimming with Kramer at the end. I don't know what it is. These later episodes, and Tony touched on a lot of this, these inside jokes, I don't get it, but whenever there's a scene like Elaine in her bedroom, I don't know what it is, whether she's dancing or calling Vincent, like on the video store guy, something's just off. In these later episodes when she's in her bedroom, and again with the bed and the guy smelling it, oh, it's East River, Kramer, and then him meeting Kramer, and then East River looks so fake. Like, just, I don't know. Kramer, I mean, I forgot. So Kramer was swimming what, at the Y? And then what? He, like.
It got too busy with the geriatrics coming in.
It's too busy. Kramer, you don't even work. What do you mean? You go there anytime you want. But, so whatever. I get it. But to Tony's point, there's a lot of inside jokes. My ups are his downs. My downs are his ups. Conrad, we liked. Kevin and Robin, friends of the show. We know the range this is in. I only wrote one grade, and I think I'm being pretty generous here. I don't know. Maybe I felt good that day. Maybe it was the fitted hat thing. Maybe there's nostalgia that Larry David came back as Steinbrenner. I don't know, but I'll give the nap a clean D for the episode. So I wouldn't argue an F. Let's put it that way. Wouldn't argue anything lower for sure. I don't think you can go higher than a D.
Seems fair enough with everything you just said. So, Tony, over to you. What's your grade? What's your final thoughts?
I agree with you. You can't go higher. And I agree with the points about Elaine's bedroom. And a lot of that has to do with her bedroom and her apartment. In the old episodes, I bring it up a lot. Even though I may have given it a down once, her apartment used to be dark and very antique-y, and she'd have those long nightgowns. It was cutesy Elaine. Later seasons, it's all bright, and something about her bedroom I agree with. I never really liked. Weird thoughts here, but we're just getting them out. Yeah, I mean, the fitted hat stuff, do we like the Kramer line? He just sunk like a stone whenever the guy dropped. He just dropped to the bottom when that old timer comes with a fucking cane. That was supposed to be the big funny joke of the episode. That's what you're giving us. Some old timer with a cane jumping in the water. That's what we're doing. The whole Spike Lee lives there with the we didn't bring that up. The dad and the kid. That's just a body floating in the river. That whole stuff. Those are supposed to be the funny jokes of this episode. That's what I'm getting at. And they all landed poorly. To Harris' point, premises in the episode, the nap is a good premise. The contractor guy is a good premise. I got a sweet spot for Kevin and Robin as well, which is why I'm not going to the lowest grade you can give either. But I am going lower than O'Hara. I'm going to go right there. I'm going to go D- for the nap. It's not an F. It's just not, but it could be. But we got to be at least a little fair here, and I think Kevin and Robin holds enough with us that I'm gonna give it a D- for the season 8 nap.
Yeah, and I think you guys are spot on with that. So appreciate your analysis and your comments regarding the nap. So I think everybody else appreciates what you guys do here, and hope you guys all, our viewers, tune in for our next episode. So we'll see you then.